Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is yet another of our Meet Your Competition events sponsored by the CA community and the cyber defense community of practice. I'm Jake Mihevc. My wingman is Dan Manson, who I'm sure will pop in here pretty soon. It is our job to identify competitions and entities contributing to competitions that would be of interest to the group. And this month, we are very happy to have Jennifer Kelley from Haiku here to present. We'll give her the floor to present and we'll take some questions at the end. Jennifer, please take it away.
Thank you very much for inviting us to be here today. Along with myself, I also have my colleague, Casey Gaska, and Vince Aliquo. He is our engineer. Casey is our content developer. And then our vice president of sales, Chris Will, is here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I want to tell you a little bit about Haiku before we get started, because I assume not everybody is familiar with Haiku. So that seems like a good place to start. Let me start my slideshow. So Haiku is a role-play game or role-play games that train cybersecurity. So for today, what we want to do is I'm just going to tell you briefly a couple of PowerPoints about Haiku, kind of how we came to be and a little bit about our product. And then I'm going to turn the floor over to Casey and Vincent. They can kind of go back and forth as they'd like to show our Forge product, and then to discuss our Capstone product, and then talk about our roadmap as it pertains to competitions, and how we think that Haiku is actually a fantastic platform for you to train for competitions and potentially to build competition formats. So Haiku was started by our CEO, Eric Basu. Eric owned a cyber defense contracting company here in San Diego and found that a lot of his employees had a lot of certifications, but not a ton of keyboard skills. And one thing that is very common is the love of video gaming. And so he thought, what better way to upskill my employees and assess potential employees other than creating a role play game. And so that's how he started Haiku. Kind of a secondary goal of his was to onboard more people into cybersecurity. And so I don't know if you guys know this, but 60% of role play gamers are women. And so he thought, hey, what better than a role play game to excite women about cybersecurity? And I'm going to share my favorite anecdote. I know all of my coworkers are tired of me telling this, but I've held 3 gaming, like using our product, competitions in the last 3 weeks. And every single time the woman in the room has won the competition. Not to dismiss anything against the gentleman that competed, but I will just say that perhaps Eric is on to something. So in developing this product, Eric didn't just say, hey, let's come up with a cool game. He really decided to do it the right way. So he worked with Carnegie Mellon's University of Human-Computer Interaction Institute and their game learning theory, and developed a product that is pedagogically sound, let's just say that. And so the whole idea is he'll often quote Jane McGonigal's book, Reality is Broken, and talk about the gaming flow state. And so the premise of this is once you start gaming, within 5 minutes, you're in the flow and you don't even realize that you're playing a game and learning at the same time. And I have been working for Haiku since June, and I've worked in higher education, ed tech, my entire career. And I can tell you this really works because I can take students anywhere from 8th grade through college level and put them in a room for 2 hours. And I think, wow, 2 hours playing this game, that's a long time. No, they are quiet. I don't have to do any sort of song and dance or offer prizes in between. They really are in the flow state. So it's really a thing. It's pretty fascinating to watch. But that is the premise of this game. So Eric will like to say that we are the Duolingo of cybersecurity. And from our studies, we've done some pilot studies with San Diego State University, who's been a great partner for us. After 7 minutes of game immersion, 24% increase in skills. It's not an official study. We'd like to do more, but that's just sort of our initial. The other thing is that a couple of the events that we've held, people have actually decided to shift from computer science to cybersecurity as their course of study. In fact, I just did an event last week in Hawaii, and the young woman that won was a liberal arts dual. She graduated, she did the dual immersion program. So she graduated high school with an associate's and was going to do liberal arts, but was a gamer. And she's like, I was kind of thinking cyber and I was kind of thinking computer science, but after this game, she won. She's like, for sure, that's the way I'm going to go. So again, definitely we are changing people and onboarding them to the cyberspace. So the product that we really want to highlight today, beyond showing you our game platform, is the Forge tool. So the Forge tool sits inside of our World of Haiku game, and it's a custom sandbox, and it allows you to build your own custom learning pathways. It's not just custom learning, it's actually a game within the game. So that allows students to build their own custom missions. You can create them as assessments, as training tools. So we are going to be working with Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, who offers the Great Space Challenge. And we are going to be building a module that will help train high school students on how to attack their challenge. And in addition to that, with the Forge tool, Casey, who is going to present today, has begun development on the CC certification, using the Forge tool to build those. And so we think that that's a powerful platform, especially when you're talking about gaming competition, whether it be training or potentially grading competition. The other thing that's important to note is that we mapped the NICE framework. When students are done using our products, they will have a skills resume that tells you how long they spent in each of the skills and what their skill level is when they complete them. So again, I'm going to pass it over to Casey, but we really are using games to change the way that students learn, and really are totally invested in the idea that we need to build a better pipeline for cybersecurity so that we don't have the shortages that we have today in the workforce. So Casey, I'm going to send it over to you.
All righty, let's go ahead. Okay, is the screen showing all right? Okay, cool. I have this on a separate screen, so I'll be looking different. So here's our Forge tool. This is a range or mission that we've already built. Awesome little note is we're actually working on a cybersecurity awareness course, because everybody needs it. And so this is what this is taken from. But here you can see we have a visual representation of a network. We have a firewall, gateway, a couple web servers, and then some workstations or client computers. But within the network itself, we actually have, it's drag and drop. We can just take all these different devices, throw them in here, configure the network in whatever diagram we want. We can use it to simulate real world networks for, if you have a small business that someone wants to emulate, we can build something similar to that. And then with the devices themselves, oops, didn't mean to move it, properties. There we go. There's a lot of information that you can configure within the properties, including users and their passwords that are associated, what ports and services would be open. And then we can also look at the file system for the different devices, and we can build in actual web pages on a web server. And we have this awesome tool, which I'm sure Vince will probably talk about more in a little bit, where we are able to actually build and render web pages within the Forge tool. So you can simulate a login page and actually be able to interact with it in some way. And the file explorer from the main game is all in here as well. Let's see. And then another thing is the mission, actually building out the missions. So we have this awesome just mission step-by-step process. You create the different steps within the mission. You can add dialogue between characters or interaction between your user or yourself and the characters within the game, to have the characters, the non-player characters, NPCs, interact with the user and maybe provide additional assistance, provide hints, maybe step through and teach an actual process that you want to like drive home for a particular lesson. And this is all built in within the Forge system. You can add timers into the different difficulty settings that you play on. So you can say, oh, this challenge needs to be, or this mission in particular, this part of the entire network needs to be completed within 5 minutes because, say, it's going to wipe all the data. It's a simulating a ransomware, and if you don't find what's going on within 30 minutes, then your data gets encrypted and you can't access it anymore. And so you can set those different timers within the different difficulty settings. And one of the things that I think is really awesome is that we can share. You can create something and share it with, your own organization. You can share it with your friends. You can share it. There is a built-in community and sharing mechanism within Forge. So you can challenge each other. You can build ranges or missions and networks that are going to be for specific challenges for events, and then have that built up, share it amongst the team. Everybody works on it and can see how quickly they get through it. And then you can make tweaks to it. So say Jennifer had built a range and she sent it over to me, and I worked on it, I completed it, and I thought, you know what, I can adjust this a little bit. Let me make it one step different for you there, Jennifer. And I go in and I change it, and I can remix her range that she created and sent to me, make my adjustments to it by, say, increasing the difficulty or dropping timers down, making it shorter time to detonate for whatever the challenge is, and then send it back to her and have her play through it. So it's just a really awesome tool. Vince, is there anything else you want to add about the Forge tool?
Yeah, so we wanted to note as well that the entirety of the game environment that we have already was built using this platform. So all of the tools and all the commands and all the complexities that you see in the actual base game are fully accessible here and fully customizable. And so you can leverage all of the advanced terminal features that you can use in the day-to-day game operations and design them here as well. We also have a lot of advanced file system attributes and properties. You can really configure devices with multiple users, with multiple read-write permissions, be able to build out relational databases. You can build out zip files and all sorts of different file types, base 64 images. There's really a lot of customization here, and we're constantly adding more and more features to the base product that are then accessible within the Forge tool. We also have branching goals as well. So you can have hidden goals, optional goals, required goals, branching requirements that you can do that all have unique threads, chat threads that you can do as well. We have a whole array of different characters and dialogues, and in fact cutscenes that you can even build out as well to create more immersive experiences, whether it's a start cutscene, a finish cutscene, or a failure cutscene in case, let's say, that you in fact ran out of time and failed. Mapping competencies.
I
So
see.
we are mapping, yeah. So everything in the game is already mapped at least to the NICE framework. So everything that we build has to be mapped in that particular way. And one of the releases that we are kicking out next week will be including all of the NICE competencies. In fact, all of the leveling as well. We're calling them what are we calling them? Not they're not levels, technically speaking. Proficiencies, right, in each of the TSKs, right? For example, in learning paths as well. So we are partnered as well with Canvas Credentials, in which all of the TSKs or yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, not A's because NICE is deprecating A's, but TSKs in particular. Yes, we are mapping those. And so, for example, we have a scaling system. So you actually have to accomplish a certain number of an individual TSK in order to effectively progress in it as well, to encourage you to actually engage with more and more missions and in fact ranges as well. There is an overlap. So if you complete a Haiku Pro range and you complete a World of Haiku mission, they both funnel into the exact same TSK progression. In fact, some of the learning paths that we have already built out that are mapped to NICE work roles do require you to also engage with this game here to accumulate some of the TSKs associated with those particular work roles. And so those are both accessible on the site as on both Haiku Pro and on play.haikuinc.io, and will be available as part of the Mission Complete pop-up as well next week within this game environment. We were always mapping them, but took us a hot sec to kick that out the door for everyone.
Yeah. And a quick note on the NICE TSKs, we are mapping to the most current version that is in progress to be released. We initially started mapping to the 2017-2020 version, but then we're informed by NICE that they were going to be moving on to a more current version. And so we've actually started the process. That is what all of our skills map to, is to the new version that will be released. And that is where they removed the abilities, the A's, out from the mapping.
Yeah. And some tasks are now skills and skills tasks, and some got renamed. And I think there's like a point systems too. So it's like a, S000 3.1.2 and 0.3. So it gets a lot more granular. So a lot of the changes they made are great. And so we're employing them already.
Yeah, and so with the mention of some of the TSKs, I will go ahead and show off Haiku Pro. Just give me 1 second to switch over to my other. Okay.
So the big distinction, and guys, this is Chris Will with Haiku as well. Sorry, I joined late. I let Jen run with this thing, and I think you're in good hands. But I just wanted to mention that Haiku Pro is really, we're actually now putting you into real virtual machines with an AWS backend. So the analogy that's been used is in the game environment, we're training you. We're teaching you how to bowl, but the bumpers are on. What you see in the game is a simulation. It is a limited environment. Whereas when you go into Haiku Pro now, you're getting into an actual cyber range environment with actual Kali Linux on the back end. Yeah.
And a slight adjustment to that is our Haiku Pro ranges are actually Docker containers, but they are full-fledged versions of Kali Linux that we're running within the Docker containers. And so here you can see that we have NICE TSKs. And then we can even see what learning paths from NICE work role learning paths this one falls under. And then there's reviews, but there's no reviews listed right now. But then here you can see the primary skills and tasks that you'll be working on. And then here's the full list of various skills that are touched on during this range. Quick little story objective here, breakdown of what's going on here. Can I show a task? You mean within the game? Because if so, or I mean within the range, then yeah, I'm gonna open it up right now and
Our dev environments intentionally run slower.
Yeah.
Which Casey is on for resource management.
So then here is, oh, my first time seeing the theater mode. So here we have goals, and this is the actual steps with it, or the flags essentially within the challenge that we're looking for. So then we also have, here's our target IP address that's given to you. This is where we will be focusing. And you can see here's all the different goals. So you can actually scroll through and read them all if you wanted to get just a general overview of the challenge that you're working on before you actually dig in, because then maybe that'll help guide your note-taking process or whatever you're working on. And then, okay. And then it is full-fledged Kelley. We can go ahead and run. Did it not? It is not liking my keyboard right now. Let's just go ahead and go full screen and see how we work here.
Well, you're using our test environment.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a difficult thing to employ, because actually engaging with it can be disrupted if we're currently deploying things to dev, which
let me go ahead and
might be. I'm checking.
Yeah. Sorry, I was already logged into the dev environment, which is why I went ahead and brought it up. But you know, the troubles of using the dev for demonstration. Give me 2 seconds here. Okay, okay. Take 2 in the production environment. Which this is what we will actually see, what users will actually see.
It's a few versions behind, so it doesn't have any. It's a bit of a smaller box. Yeah.
Yeah, so that theater mode, taking up the whole screen, looking really nice, that's up and coming. As far as list of tasks, yeah, so it's the list of all of the TSKs that are associated. So whether it's the T's tasks, the knowledge or skills, that's all on there. And there's a lot sometimes that are on each range. And so sometimes you might have to like scroll a good amount to actually see them all. So let's go ahead. Here we go. All right, so now we're gonna nmap. And we're doing 10. And we can copy paste between the range and the actual, I'm pointing, actual answer screen if we want, which is great for, you know, using later down the line when you find really complex, you know, 64 character flags. You don't want to have to type it all out. So there is a clipboard sharing function. And then so here we can see we got port 22 and 80. And then it gives you points, says congratulations, you solved the first goal. and then we go through and it automatically moves you over to the next goal, what you need to find. So we saw that there was a web server, and then so the next step is let's go ahead and fuzz and see what we can enumerate with the different directories within the web server. And so I don't know how far you guys want me to go in the demonstration here or not. This, how does a player know what task they have performed? You mean from the nice TSK list? We don't have that specifically listed like as you're actually playing through. But once you finish the range, it will again list all of the relevant TSKs that were associated with that range that you have met the requirements for, or that you performed during that range.
It's a lot more difficult to map TSKs to individual actions that the player is doing. TSKs, well, NICE really tries to focus on the cumulative effort that the user is engaging with for this particular range or mission or what have you.
So for that is, and Vince, I think you can talk a little bit of how we're implementing that. But one of the things we're doing is each different TSK is an associated badge within Canvas credentials. And so once you've completed a range that has one of those associated, you receive that badge. And we keep track of how many ranges with those associated TSKs you've completed. So once you've completed a various number of them, you will then get a next level or next proficiency within the TSKs. And we have a set number of requirements as well for meeting certain ones. So you're not something that's a little more advanced. You're not going to just, oh, we get you've earned that TSK badge after completing it one time. No, you have to complete it a few times to show that you've learned it, to show that you know what you're doing, and then you receive that badge, which you can see your progress towards on Canvas credentials as well.
Yeah. So for example, to accumulate like a level 5, for example, in skills, you need to have accomplished 100 skills, like 100 unique instances of acquiring that particular TSK. But it is cumulative. So for example, for knowledge, right, you only need to accomplish 1 knowledge TSK in order to get it. But to get to level 2, you need to have accomplished 4 to get to level 2. And it just scales. And it all scales slightly different depending on each TSK, because they all have different weights to them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Vince, do you want to talk a little bit about Capstone and then maybe our roadmap and kind of where we think we fit in with the competitions?
Real quick, we had a quick question. Yeah, so the players, once they finish a range, they will get a view of what they've done, and then also, yeah, support the range. On the dashboard when they log in, which I'm gonna show you in just a second, there is a link to Canvas credentials to view the learning paths, and that's where you can also view your backpack with all of your badges. You do have to sign in to Canvas credentials using the same email address that you've used for Haiku, but assuming you have both of those set up, you'll see all of your progress towards every badge, every TSK, all of that.
And I mean, on a different note, you see that the gaming element, right? We're keeping track with point totals. So sometime next year, hopefully in the first quarter, we'll have player versus player. So that means that right now you're part of a global community of players. And so your point totals are what's going on around the world. But in 2024, we're going to have player versus player, which means that you can create communities of users that can compete against each other for points in a smaller group.
Yeah, and this is the capstone, not the capstone, this is the learning paths that Casey currently has up. So each one of these ranges are mapped to dozens of individual TSKs. And so it was a little bit easier visually to depict, to see, hey, you know, what in what order do I want to really, in what ranges or missions do I want to engage with in order to effectively accomplish this particular learning path. And learning paths are associated with hundreds of individual TSKs. And so we feel quite confident that by actually going through all of the ranges and missions that you see here, that you should be able to at least accomplish a good majority of them. We do acknowledge that we're missing a few, but we're always actively building more and more ranges to more accurately fulfill the different learning paths that NICE provides.
Yeah, and so here's one of them is the cyber defense analysis. You can see here that I logged in, so you can see my badge progress towards it, and that you can see it's checked off which ones I've completed. Another awesome thing is we've mapped out how much time each range takes on average, so that way we can associate CPEs with each range as well, which is definitely an important thing in the industry as well. And we can see those within, let's see. Once we view, there you go, this range fulfills half CP. And a player record their mission, like if they wanted to screen record, yeah, totally.
Some of the goals are also, some of the flags are also randomized, not for every single range, but some of them actually do have dynamic flags. So not every, so you can't really, if you had a database of all of the answers, it's not going to be applicable. But so usually on average, if they do have dynamic flags, I think on average, I think they either only have one or two, or about like 1/3 of the flags would be dynamic.
And they're usually toward the last one or two flags within,
because they can be difficult. Yeah. They can be difficult ones, especially.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. My computer currently is not configured with the capstone up, and we're still working with a few of, but it's going to be particularly similar to what Casey was already demonstrating. But essentially it is the ranges that Casey already has demonstrated, but they are accessible via a VPN. And you can just log in using your Haiku credentials. And so you can either use like an OpenVPN or Amazon VPN. We'll be providing you all the necessary credentials and details, and you can just log in directly automatically into your account, which is already flagged to have access to a series of ranges and workstations. It is a network that we set up that has Active Directory, web server, Windows boxes. Every person has their own persistent Kelley box as well. And so it's a whole network in which we have a slew of vulnerabilities that users will be scanning. In terms of the capstone that we are currently building and releasing, all of the boxes have some sort of vulnerability that users need to scan for and be able to ultimately resolve. So some of them will have internet access as well to help users actually go through and patch some of the vulnerabilities, upgrade certain packages or upgrade the operating system if necessary as well. And currently it is a team of 5. So we support multiple teams, and each team is about 5 individuals, each one getting their own Kali box, and they all share the same network as well. And so that is what we are currently operating on for the capstone. So it is the ranges that essentially that Casey already has demonstrated, but you can bring your own tools as well, and be able to access them using the resources on your computer as you prefer.
Thank you, Vince. Vince, you want to talk a little bit about, and Casey, about some things that we have coming in 2024? I know there's lots.
A lot.
Maybe
Yeah.
ones as you
Okay.
think it might pertain best to competitions, if you want to
Competitions.
whittle it down.
Yes.
Yeah, let's whittle it down.
Yeah. Okay. So for competitions, especially, so we are building out and expanding Forge capabilities pretty extensively to allowing for scripting languages, so that you can actually go through and build out exploits and build out far more advanced scenarios as well. So we've already have a baseline scripting language that interacts with all of our networking, all of the devices that we've built out. It is a plus of being able to essentially having full complete control over the entire system, because we can do things like this, build out a whole scripting language for users to be able to, build out their own incident responses and things like that. We are also building out Wi-Fi modules. Right now, our networking is pretty limited to being wired in. But as of right now, we are fully expanding to incorporate Wi-Fi and packet sniffing and all sorts of Wi-Fi related hacking. So we're really excited about that, because that has been a feature that we've been looking forward to for a really long time, and will only be able to expand the capabilities of the game and what people will be ultimately able to create.
Yeah, which that's something we're all really excited about. Piggybacking off of that, talk about some of the things that are coming down the pipeline for Forge, from a content perspective, not a tool perspective, is that, the nice TSKs, they're not just technical. There are some soft skill related ones, such as asking correct questions during an incident, or properly documenting certain things. And so one of the things that I'm pushing out over the next year is going to be content that focuses on those not as technical, the more soft skill focused TSK requirements. That way we are fully developing or enveloping the requirements to meet these work role requirements within the NICE framework. And I don't think there's a lot of training platforms out there who can do all of it, can create training that focuses on the soft skills as well as the technical skills in a way that's gamified. And that's one of the things that I'm focusing on this next year, is to introduce more soft skill focused training as well.
Thank you, Casey. Any other questions that we could answer? No?
Yeah, maybe I want to follow up. I know you've probably heard the issue of the tasks raised multiple times, and you're wondering why we care about the task. Is because we part of what we're going to be doing in the future is start assessing our students on the tasks. So for our perspective, those tasks, identifying the tasks that the students are able to perform within the platform, will be and maybe Dan and Jay can follow up on this, but will be important for us. So especially in the context of competition. So if you set it up as a local competition or a regional competition, the ability to get a scorecard for the students within the team, for example, on what tasks they were able to do will be, I think, productive for us.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. It is a goal of the whole CA community to work towards evidencing competencies within competitions. Sorry, as Yara said, if we're being a little rough on you. There's some tough questions, and we are really working to establish some good methods of doing so. So when we find an awesome competition like yours, we tend to ask a lot of questions about how are you doing it. So thanks for your patience with us as we've asked a lot of really kind of the harder questions about how we're doing things like that.
Yeah, I'm the one asking the questions because my role on a grant, Career Preparation National Center grant, is to map competitions to competencies. And the way I'm involved in doing that is mapping to a task related to a work role. So I appreciate you caring about the skills and the other parts, but the task is a key for me, because a task is a way to demonstrate that someone has a competency.
Yeah, and as we kind of wrap up here, if you could just let us know, so what kind of engagement have you had from students thus far? How many students have gone through this experience, and how many do you anticipate? How do you anticipate growth going forward? First of all, how do you see that playing out over time?
Well, let me take that one. I've been doing cybersecurity training and education for a long time. I developed virtual labs. I've seen this discipline really evolve, where we went from very theoretical to very hands-on, and really emphasizing a balance in those things. And I joined Haiku because I saw this opportunity, right? We're early, right? I mean, we don't have as many adopters as we basically just launched this platform, right? So yeah, we've had success with some of the universities that have launched early with us, who've believed in us and have invested their time and effort with us. So this is a platform that just has really impressed me with its power, its ability, the analytics that we can drive. I think we can drive the analytics around the tasks that you're looking for. I think especially with Forge and our ability to track all activity within the platform, we're going to be able to do that. So I think that's going to be something we'll be able to answer the bell on. And if nothing else, you can help us guide our development. This is such a critical conversation that we're having right now, really very helpful as we think about moving forward. And you've got, really, we're a small company, but you've got 4 people on this call who are going to take all this feedback, synthesize it, and use this as part of our roadmap moving forward. So I think that's all very, very helpful. We are really eager to move forward. We have done competitions. We've had the experience as far as scaling for competitions and everything else. So I don't think there's anything like it out there that I've seen, and I'm that's why I jumped off of where I was and came over here back in May, because I just really love what we're doing and where we're going. And that's before I found out about our ability to create custom content or have people create their own content in our Forge platform. So which got me even more excited. So this is a platform. This is an ability, not just, we're not providing just a game. We're providing a platform that can basically grow with our partners and our friends, and create those learning experiences that really map closely to what you guys are looking to do. So we've got some case studies with various universities. I've got University of California, San Diego is going to teach an entire extension course with the platform in January. We've done, we worked with a few universities so far, but we're going to be working with more and more. And one of the reasons Jen is here is because both Jen and I have that background. We were both with higher education publishers for years and years and years. And, you know, we are dedicated to this particular market space in a big way. This is where we grew up, and, you know, we're here because this company is committed to the space. So, yeah, I think the long-term vision is we're in, and we're ready to you know, put the platform to work to really, you know, solve all the workforce challenges that we're talking about, to solve, you know, getting, you know, I think at the end of the day, the most meaningful thing we can do is put students in a position where they have the skills to go do the job, where they can demonstrate to employers that they've got the skills to do the job, and you know, that, and then the employers accept the fact that, hey, these students really have the skills. So I think, you know, that's the vision here, moving forward, and, you know, that's our goal, is to fulfill that and really drive that forward. So you know, and any opportunity we have to work with you guys to make that happen, we'd be thrilled.
And
Well,
just
that's great. I think we've all been impressed by what we've seen thus far. And just for those that might watch this video later and skip to the end, sometimes I do that. For some takeaways, what are the easiest ways or the best ways for CAE faculty and students to connect with your project in the next 6 months or so? I'm sorry, Jennifer, you're muted.
The best way would be to reach out to me. My name is Jennifer Kelley, and I'm going to drop my email in the chat. I handle our education verticals, but Chris is also a good resource. We're small, so I was going to sort of throw that out there, that we've been around since 2021. So we're still a young company. So most of our users started out on Steam. Our web version came out early this summer, and I can tell you that I'm very, very busy in the education market. Overwhelmed might be a better way to describe it, which is a great way to place to be. So whereas today we can look at like San Diego State and a few other use cases, Mount St. Mary's College, right? We have a few users. I can tell you that come January, we have a lot of users coming on board. So it will continue to grow, but we are still young. But I will tell you, we really do appreciate your information and your insight. You guys, the ones implementing the programs today, you know what kind of skills and what's important, what you need to map to. So you help us. Your challenges are a good thing. And we're a small company, so we can actually take that information and do something with it. Not everyone has that luxury. So for us, sitting here today is a great opportunity. We got really valuable. I hope we gave you as much as you gave us, because knowing that the TSKs are going to be something that we really need to highlight is, I mean, that's gold for us. That really helps shape the way we're going to start documenting things in the future. So thank you for that. And I will finish putting my name in the chat.
And just to tap on that, Jennifer, just to update you and Chris and everyone, be aware in this group, including in this session, there are folks who are very much involved in the NICE framework and in contributing to the NICE and NIST group. And so we are, many of us are very, very aware, and we are also helping NIST shape their next generation NICE framework. So be aware.
Excellent.
We live and breathe NICE at this rate. We spend, I cannot stress how many hours that we've spent poring over every bit of documentation that they provide. So it's in our best interest to make sure that we're honoring what they're already doing and keeping in close contact with them to give them live feedback as well, because they've been pretty interested as well with what we've been building so far.
So do we.
Marion Merritt, I know, is a big fan. I know she's a big fan, and I know she's been a big supporter of ours. Just FYI, just throwing that out there. So,
Well, thank you. Any final questions for our guests? Hearing none, thank you very much again for the wonderful presentation. And we know that we'll be seeing a lot more of you in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you all.
thanks so
Bye.
much for your time, everybody.
Just to follow up, there will be a quick survey coming out from my email address for all the attendees. It's not a phishing email. It's a survey.